You won't believe what just happened at 11:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Shedeur Sanders, the fifth-round quarterback sensation, just completely obliterated his competition in the most savage public confrontation professional sports has ever witnessed. This wasn't some carefully orchestrated press conference or sanitized team statement. This was raw, unfiltered destruction broadcast live to over 115,000 viewers on Instagram. What started as a routine training camp discussion transformed into a masterclass in psychological warfare when Dillon Gabriel unexpectedly joined the stream. For the next 37 minutes, we witnessed something unprecedented: two NFL quarterbacks battling for franchise control with no PR representatives, no coaches mediating, and absolutely no safety nets. By the end, one career was elevated to legendary status, while another lay in complete ruins. I've got the full breakdown of every devastating moment, including the receipts Shedeur threatened to expose and the psychological tactics that left Gabriel speechless. If you've been following this quarterback competition, what you're about to see will shock you. This is the moment everything changed in Cleveland. What you're witnessing represents a seismic shift in how professional athletes handle competition and conflict. Gone are the days when disputes stayed behind closed doors or got filtered through team media departments. This Instagram-live confrontation between Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel just rewrote the playbook on quarterback competitions, social media warfare, and public accountability in professional sports. This isn't just about two players arguing. This is about the collision between old-school football culture and the new generation's demand for transparency. Gabriel represents the traditional pathway: patient development, waiting your turn, following established protocols. Sanders embodies pure disruption, immediate impact, undeniable talent, and a complete refusal to accept artificial timelines. In this video, we'll break down every strategic move Sanders made to systematically dismantle Gabriel's credibility, examine the psychological warfare tactics that left 115,000 viewers stunned, and analyze why this confrontation will be studied by athletes, coaches, and sports psychologists for years to come. We'll also reveal the specific incidents Sanders referenced, the receipts he threatened to expose, and how Gabriel's own words became the weapons used against him. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand exactly why this 37-minute stream didn't just end a quarterback competition. It potentially changed how future conflicts will be resolved in professional sports. The traditional boundaries between public and private competition just got obliterated permanently, and Shedeur Sanders emerged as the architect of this revolution. Here's what most people missed about this confrontation: it wasn't spontaneous. Shedeur Sanders didn't just stumble into destroying Dillon Gabriel's career. He orchestrated it with the precision of a master strategist. The moment Gabriel's username appeared in the viewer requests, Sanders' expression shifted subtly. That trademark confidence emerged, and you could see the wheels turning. This was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. Well, Sanders stated with dangerous calm, "Look who decided to join the conversation." Those 8 words carried the weight of weeks of accumulated frustration and calculated preparation. Sanders had been studying Gabriel's patterns, his deflection techniques, his go-to excuses. Every response was anticipated, every counterargument prepared for. The genius of Sanders' approach lies in his understanding of digital psychology. He knew that accepting Gabriel's request to join would create an unprecedented moment: two quarterbacks, 47,000 viewers climbing rapidly, and no organizational safety nets. The pressure would be entirely on Gabriel to justify his position while Sanders controlled the narrative flow. Watch how Sanders immediately established dominance through his opening gambit. When Gabriel attempted the diplomatic approach, suggesting everything got blown out of proportion and the media's creating narratives that don't exist, Sanders didn't take the bait. Instead, he delivered the iconic head tilt, that knowing smirk, that deliberate pause that veterans watching recognized as the moment when perceived diplomacy meets unvarnished truth. Creating narratives? Sanders' voice carried that dangerous calm that made chat velocity accelerate impossibly. "Brother, let's keep this authentic since we're here." No cameras from ESPN. No reporters twisting words. Just us and everybody watching. You want to discuss created narratives or actual situations? Because I've got receipts. The word receipts sent the comment section into absolute chaos. Heart emojis, fire symbols, shocked expressions flooding the screen. The viewership counter climbing rapidly, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 witnesses gathering digitally to watch what they sensed would be a career-defining moment. Sanders understood something Gabriel didn't. In the age of social media, authenticity trumps diplomacy every time. Audiences crave real conflict over sanitized corporate speak. By positioning himself as the truth-teller against Gabriel's media narrative's deflection, Sanders immediately won the crowd before the real destruction even began. The psychological setup was perfect. Gabriel walked into a trap thinking he could control the narrative through traditional PR tactics, deflection, blame-shifting, diplomatic language. But Sanders had prepared for digital warfare, where specificity destroys generalities, where receipts matter more than rhetoric, and where 70,000 viewers can smell authenticity from miles away. This wasn't just a quarterback showing up to defend himself. This was a calculated demolition job disguised as a casual conversation, executed by someone who understood that modern competition extends far beyond practice fields into digital arenas where narrative control determines career trajectories. Gabriel never stood a chance because he came to a gunfight with a butter knife, still playing by old rules in a new game Sanders had already mastered. What happened next was a masterclass in competitive psychology that should be studied in business schools and military academies. Sanders didn't rage emotionally or resort to profanity. Instead, he methodically recounted specific incidents with the precision of a prosecutor presenting evidence to a jury of 70,000 viewers. Training camp, day 3, Sanders began, his voice steady and controlled. You told the offensive lineman, he's getting special treatment. Thought nobody would mention that. Gabriel's expression shifted noticeably, the first crack in his diplomatic facade. But Sanders wasn't finished building his case. Day 7, equipment room. You question whether I earned anything or just inherited everything. Real professional, right? Each revelation landed precisely, supported by specifics Gabriel couldn't deny. This wasn't hearsay or general accusations. These were documented moments with witnesses, times, and locations. Here's where Sanders' strategic brilliance becomes apparent. He understood that in digital confrontations, specificity is everything. Vague accusations can be deflected, but specific incidents with details create undeniable reality. Gabriel couldn't claim media exaggeration when Sanders was providing exact dates, locations, and quotes. When Gabriel attempted to redirect the conversation toward competition fairness and development timelines, classic deflection tactics, Sanders anticipated everything. Development timeline? His laugh contained zero humor. Brother, you transferred twice chasing starting positions. Now suddenly you're concerned about proper progression? That's fascinating. The observation stung because accuracy hurts. Gabriel's collegiate journey included multiple programs, always seeking immediate opportunity. Now, facing legitimate competition for the first time, his frustration was manifesting destructively, and Sanders exposed this hypocrisy with surgical precision. But the most devastating moment came when Gabriel made his crucial mistake, suggesting veterans supported him, implying Sanders lacked respect among teammates. This triggered something in Sanders. Professional courtesy was abandoned. You really want to go there? Cool. Let's discuss Tuesday's team meeting. When coaches asked about the design rollout, who forgot the protection adjustments? When Miles asked about hot routes, who stayed silent? But yeah, tell everyone about your veteran support while you're learning playbook basics I mastered week 1. The comment section became absolute chaos. Shedeur Cookingham dominated chat, but even Gabriel supporters struggled to defend against such specific accusations. Former players joining the stream could verify these weren't generic insults, these were detailed indictments of professional competence. Sanders had turned Gabriel's own actions into weapons against him. Every deflection attempt was met with specific counter-evidence. Every excuse was demolished with documented facts. Every attempt to shift blame was redirected back to Gabriel's own behavior patterns. This wasn't just winning an argument, this was systematic deconstruction of a competitor's credibility using their own words and actions as ammunition. Gabriel came prepared for a general discussion about competition. Sanders came prepared for total warfare, armed with a comprehensive dossier of Gabriel's failures, contradictions, and hypocrisies. The digital amphitheater was witnessing gladiatorial combat through Wi-Fi connections, and Sanders was proving that preparation, specificity, and strategic thinking could completely overwhelm traditional diplomatic approaches in modern competitive environments. What elevated this confrontation beyond mere personal conflict was how it crystallized into a complete philosophical battle about meritocracy versus entitlement, representing a broader generational shift occurring throughout professional sports. Gabriel embodied the traditional pathway: patient development, systematic progression, waiting your turn. Sanders represented pure disruption, immediate impact, undeniable talent, refusing artificial timelines. When Sanders addressed the jealousy directly, no euphemisms or diplomatic phrasing, the cultural divide became crystal clear. Here's the reality you can't accept. I arrived later, drafted lower, still took your position. Not because ownership loves me. Not because the media hypes me. Because every practice, every meeting, every opportunity, I prove superior. That's eating you alive, isn't it? Gabriel's jaw clenched visibly. His prepared talking points became useless against this unfiltered truth. The traditional narrative he'd constructed, that success should follow established timelines, that seniority matters more than performance, that disruption is somehow unfair, crumbled under the weight of results-based reality. This moment transcended sports toward complete cultural commentary witnessed by a rapidly growing audience now exceeding 90,000 viewers. Instagram's infrastructure was struggling to maintain stream stability as comments scrolled impossibly fast. Verified accounts were joining, current players, former stars, national analysts, everyone watching this unprecedented confrontation between competing philosophies. Gabriel's response revealed the depth of his psychological struggle. You don't understand the pressure I'm facing. You arrive with built-in advantages. Famous father, media attention, ownership protection. I earned everything through grinding, transferring, proving myself repeatedly. Then you show up and suddenly nothing matters except highlight reels and social media followers. This admission provided a revealing window into Gabriel's psychology. The resentment ran deeper than position competition. It was about perceived fairness, about traditional values seemingly dismissed, about feeling overlooked despite following established pathways. Gabriel represented everyone who ever felt displaced by disruptive talent, everyone who believed following rules should guarantee rewards. Sanders' response became a masterclass in competitive philosophy. Advantages? Brother, having Dillon Sanders as a father means expectations you can't imagine. Every mistake magnified, every success diminished because daddy helped. You think media attention helps when they're dissecting whether I'm legitimate or manufactured? But here's the difference between us. I use pressure as fuel. You let it break you. That's why I'm starting and you're suspended. The suspension reference triggered Gabriel's final eruption, but the momentum had already shifted irreversibly. Sanders controlled the narrative completely, representing a new generation that refuses to accept artificial limitations based on traditional hierarchies. Keep exposing yourself, Sanders responded calmly to Gabriel's increasingly desperate deflections. Blaming coaches, blaming ownership, blaming media, blaming me. Everyone except yourself. That's exactly why you're watching from home while I'm preparing to lead this team. This wasn't just about two quarterbacks anymore, it was about competing worldviews. Gabriel's belief that following established protocols should guarantee success versus Sanders' conviction that performance should determine outcomes regardless of traditional timelines. The digital jury of 90,000 plus viewers was witnessing the death of old school entitlement and the birth of merit-based disruption in professional sports. What separated this confrontation from typical social media drama was Sanders' sophisticated understanding of digital psychology and narrative control. Every element, timing, pacing, revelation strategy, audience engagement, demonstrated masterful manipulation of modern communication dynamics that most professional athletes never develop. Notice how Sanders managed the curiosity gap technique throughout the stream. When he mentioned having receipts, he didn't immediately reveal everything. Instead, he built anticipation. I'll save that for when you try rewriting history again. This created sustained tension that kept viewers engaged, wondering what evidence he possessed while establishing dominance through withholding information. The threat of video evidence became psychological warfare. Sanders possessed footage, not official team recordings, but personal content from teammates' phones. Gabriel's expression revealed recognition that his carefully constructed narrative could crumble if this evidence emerged. Sanders understood that in digital confrontations, the threat of revelation often proves more powerful than actual revelation. Peak viewership hit 112,000 simultaneous viewers as Sanders' orchestrated pattern interrupts to prevent audience fatigue. He alternated between calm explanations and passionate declarations, between specific accusations and philosophical observations, between addressing Gabriel directly and speaking to the audience. This variety maintained engagement across 37 minutes, an eternity in social media attention spans. Sanders also demonstrated advanced understanding of comment section dynamics. He acknowledged the growing audience. Since we've got everybody watching, let's be completely transparent. This direct engagement made viewers feel included in the confrontation rather than merely observing it, increasing emotional investment and reducing drop-off rates. The strategic use of specificity versus generality proved devastating. While Gabriel spoke in vague terms about media narratives and blown out of proportion, Sanders provided exact dates, specific locations, direct quotes. In digital environments where authenticity is paramount, this specificity created undeniable credibility that generalities couldn't match. Sanders' emotional intelligence shone through his ability to remain composed while Gabriel became increasingly agitated. Professional sports psychology teaches that maintaining composure under pressure demonstrates leadership qualities, while losing control suggests an inability to handle high-stakes situations. The visual contrast was stark. Sanders appeared presidential, while Gabriel seemed desperate. The timing of revelations followed classic storytelling structure. Sanders opened with moderate accusations, built tension through increasingly specific details, reached climax with the most damaging revelations, then concluded with philosophical dominance. This narrative arc kept viewers engaged while systematically destroying Gabriel's credibility. Most importantly, Sanders understood platform-specific communication. Instagram Live rewards authenticity over polish, directness over diplomacy, personality over corporate speak. Gabriel approached this like a traditional media interview, using deflection and diplomatic language. Sanders treated it like a conversation with 100,000 plus friends, using a conversational tone while delivering devastating content. The technical mastery extended to Sanders' concluding strategy. Rather than gloating or continuing the attack, he pivoted to forward-looking leadership. Film study tomorrow. Season approaching. Championship mindset required. This demonstrated emotional maturity while reinforcing his position as the team's future. Gabriel's attempted damage control through subsequent Twitter posts fell flat because he was still using traditional PR tactics in a post-authenticity world. Screenshots of his stammered responses and failed comebacks circulated immediately, preserved digitally forever. Sanders had won not just the confrontation but the entire narrative war through superior understanding of modern communication dynamics. The immediate aftermath of this confrontation sent shockwaves throughout professional sports that continue reverberating today. Within hours, every major sports platform featured emergency coverage. Former quarterbacks provided analysis, body language experts examined facial expressions, and communication professors discussed confrontation dynamics. The footage was dissected frame by frame, with general consensus emerging: Sanders had dominated completely. But the implications extend far beyond one quarterback competition. This confrontation established a precedent that terrifies organizational leadership while thrilling audiences craving authenticity. The traditional boundary between public and private competition was obliterated permanently, and future conflicts might follow similar patterns, with Instagram becoming the new battleground for positional supremacy. League executives studying the situation intensely recognized unprecedented dynamics. Social media confrontation between active players representing the same organization breaks every unwritten rule, yet younger generations consider such transparency normal, even necessary. The disconnect between traditional organizational control and modern player empowerment grows increasingly apparent. Sanders' successful navigation represents a blueprint others might follow, while Gabriel's destruction serves as a cautionary tale regarding preparation's importance. The Cleveland Browns inadvertently became a laboratory for football's cultural evolution. Their quarterback competition transformed from internal evaluation to public spectacle, their organizational dysfunction broadcast globally through Instagram Live. Consider the psychological profiles revealed through this confrontation. Sanders demonstrated remarkable emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and what could be called competitive sociopathy, orchestrating Gabriel's public destruction while maintaining plausible deniability regarding aggression. These skills translate directly to quarterback success, suggesting his dominance extends beyond physical talent into sophisticated understanding of narrative control and competitive leverage. Conversely, Gabriel exposed fundamental weaknesses beyond physical limitations. His inability to manage pressure, tendency toward excuses, and lack of accountability were revealed starkly. Professional football demands mental fortitude equaling physical gifts, and Gabriel's public collapse suggested an insufficient psychological foundation supporting his technical abilities. The broader cultural impact cannot be overstated. This represents evolution in competitive dynamics where physical talent remains essential, but narrative control, social media sophistication, and public performance under scrutiny become equally vital. Sanders mastered every dimension, while Gabriel failed spectacularly across all fronts. Training camps throughout the league now examine dynamics differently. Coaching staffs discuss social media policies extensively. Front offices reconsider communication protocols. The precedent established forces everyone to acknowledge that modern athletes compete across multiple platforms simultaneously, and success requires mastery of all dimensions. What makes this confrontation historically significant is how it represents the death of traditional quarterback development and the birth of accelerated dominance demanding immediate recognition. The revolution wasn't televised, it was streamed live on Instagram, witnessed by 115,000 people who watched the future of professional sports unfold in real time. The recording preserved permanently across internet platforms ensures history will remember this moment accurately. No revisionist narratives are possible when evidence exists everywhere, archived forever in the digital consciousness of sports history. Future documentaries will reference this night as the moment when athlete empowerment reached its ultimate expression. What began as a routine Instagram live session became the defining moment for a franchise, two players, and potentially the entire league. Shedeur Sanders' calculated destruction of Dillon Gabriel represents more than just a quarterback competition, it's the evolution of competitive dynamics in the digital age. We witnessed something unprecedented, a fifth-round selection establishing complete dominance not through coaching decisions or ownership mandates, but through public conquest witnessed by hundreds of thousands. Gabriel's suspension became irrelevant because his opportunity evaporated during those 37 minutes of streaming. The key takeaways from this confrontation will reshape how we understand modern competition. First, authenticity trumps diplomacy in digital environments. Sanders' specific accusations demolished Gabriel's vague deflections because audiences can smell authenticity from miles away. Second, preparation extends beyond physical training into narrative control and psychological warfare. Sanders came armed with receipts, specific incidents, and strategic responses to every possible deflection. Third, the traditional boundaries between public and private competition no longer exist. Modern athletes must master multiple platforms simultaneously, understanding that career trajectories can be determined through Wi-Fi connections as much as practice field performance. Fourth, emotional intelligence and composure under pressure have become as valuable as physical talent. Sanders' ability to remain calm while systematically dismantling Gabriel's credibility demonstrated leadership qualities that translate directly to on-field success. Finally, this confrontation proved that merit-based disruption will always overcome entitlement-based tradition when the stakes are high enough and the platform is authentic enough. The Cleveland Browns now belong to Shedeur Sanders, not because of his famous father or media hype, but because he proved superior in every dimension that matters in modern professional sports. Gabriel's recovery from this complete public destruction seems unlikely, serving as a cautionary tale for anyone who confuses following traditional pathways with earning guaranteed outcomes. This confrontation changed everything we thought we knew about quarterback competitions and professional sports conflicts. What's your take on Sanders' approach? Was this strategic brilliance, or did he cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and respond to as many as I can. If you want to see more breakdowns of game-changing moments in sports, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Next week, I'm analyzing how this confrontation is already influencing other position battles across the league, and you won't want to miss those insights. And if you found this breakdown valuable, share it with anyone who follows NFL drama or wants to understand how modern competition really works. This story is far from over, and we'll be tracking every development as the season unfolds. The revolution in professional sports just got streamed live, and Shedeur Sanders emerged as its architect. The question now isn't whether this changes everything, it's how quickly other athletes will follow his blueprint for digital dominance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown, where we dive even deeper into the psychology of modern athletic competition.